Thanks so much for joining us here on this Wednesday. I'm Brooke Hash. JCPS will restore some bus routes for several magnet and traditional schools. The district laid out its plans at last night's board meeting before a unanimous vote. The plan's expected to roll out over 6 weeks, which would get those restored routes running by mid-March. Students at Coleridge Taylor, Young Elementary, and Johnson Traditional Middle School will be the first to have buses offered back to them. Free and reduced lunch students at DuPont Manual, Butler Traditional, and Male High School will have that option as well. Now, first, the district needs to see just how many students want to ride the bus. Then it'll develop the routes and give drivers time to practice them. At last night's meeting, concerns about replicating the transportation meltdown of 2023 were brought up, but JCPS transportation officials feel confident they can handle this route restoration.
What are the chances of a really bad day happening like we had a year ago if we do this?
We'll run the command center like we would for a normal first day.
Okay.
But in essence, adding back these it is not technically as difficult as doing 50,000 students on the first day of school.
Now, that first step for JCPS is to send out a survey to parents to gauge again how many kids will be riding those additional routes. And additionally, this could open up more school options for affected students next year. Metro Councilwoman Paula McCraney, who spent years as a Democrat, now changing her status to an independent. She represents District 7, which covers areas around St. Matthews and Linden. McCraney's switch could change future votes in the council, which gained 3 Republican seats during the November election, more evenly splitting the council, with 12 of the 26 seats being Republicans. Democrats, now excluding McCraney, hold 13. A major egg farm in southern Indiana is experiencing a bird flu outbreak. Roseacre Farms is the second largest egg producer in the United States, and one of its facilities in Seymour, Indiana, detected the virus. Our Alexander Goldberg and senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton have the story on the regional impact and the concern from one Louisville restaurant owner who buys nearly 3,000 eggs a week.
This is Court Acre Egg Farm in Seymour, Indiana, home to 2.8 million birds. WHAS11 News learned high pathogenic bird flu was detected in at least one barn on Saturday.
It's at high risk to other flocks or other facilities that may be nearby. So it's really important to contain the virus, and we have to depopulate those birds, meaning that we have to put them down. They don't end up in the food supply. They are disposed of otherwise, so that there's not a food safety issue there at all.
Denise Darrow-Spears is a spokesperson for the Indiana State Board of Animal Health, the agency monitoring the situation. She assures the public that those eggs won't end up at your local grocery store.
Yeah, they don't even make it as far as the grocery store. They don't leave the farm.
Roseacre Farm said in a statement, in part, quote, "Over the weekend, our Court Acre Egg Farm in Seymour, Indiana, tested positive for highly pathogenic avian influenza, also commonly known as AI or bird flu. We are working with the Indiana State Board of Animal Health and the state veterinarian on best practices to combat the risk of spreading AI to other birds. It is important to note that while the risk to other birds from highly pathogenic avian influenza infections is high, the risk to people remains low." Darrow-Spears says one of the most difficult impacts is the farm's recovery.
That downtime, the number of weeks when the barns are empty and there's no birds or no production, no eggs coming out of there, they really don't have a way to be made whole on that. So this is a big financial hit.
Darrow-Spears warns owners of backyard flocks to be vigilant of the signs of bird flu. In Seymour, Alexander Goldberg, WHAS11, on your side.
Despite 67 human cases of bird flu in the U.S. and 1 death, there has not been confirmed person-to-person spread. The USDA says at least 36 million egg-laying hens have been killed in recent months to prevent the flu's spread. And that is impacting prices here locally. According to Egg Price Tracker from Trading Economics, the average price for a dozen eggs is $7.09 right now. That's up from $2.23 back in October and $1.58 just last May. From the Sky 11 drone, a look over the Givaudan plant in Clifton, that factory that exploded in November, killing 2 of its employees. The company announced a week ago that at the end of this month, neighbors would see increased activity as they allow visitors from 30 different companies to visit the site, attorneys and engineers. We noticed several dumpsters on site and heavy equipment moving some of the damage. The company says this is all to get ready for demolition of the twisted steel and metal that will begin soon and last into the spring. Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg just laid out his legislative priorities for Kentucky's 2025 General Assembly agenda, and among those is combating the city's housing crisis. He supports creating a statewide affordable housing credit, eliminating sales tax on building materials, and to make it easier for faith-based organizations to build affordable rental housing on their properties.
To be blunt, we have a housing crisis in Louisville, and we need all the help that we can get. Like every other industry, housing is based on supply and demand. And right now in Louisville, there simply is not enough supply of housing.
The mayor wants Louisville to have autonomy in requiring background checks for all firearm sales and require a waiting period for all first-time buyers. Greenberg also is pushing for Kentucky to enact a statewide wiretapping law to address gangs and violent offenders in areas with large populations like Louisville. 12:05 now on your Wednesday. You know, we had an editor, Sam, come out this morning and go, hey, it's supposed to be like 50 degrees. I'll go out and get some weather video for you.
Yeah.
I went out, though, in the wind, the breeze. It makes it feel still a lot colder.
Yeah,
I think it really is.
There's definitely a breeze outside, Brooke, but yeah, we're not complaining too much. Temperatures are getting to the 50s, the power of the sun. If there is a lack of any kind of wind, though, it does feel a lot warmer, of course, with the 50-degree readings going on. So a heads up, like Brooke is basically mentioning, if you are stepping out the door for lunch, grab that jacket, probably a good idea. We're noticing a breeze out of the west around 13 miles an hour, so not too breezy by any means, but just keep in mind a little bit of a wind, making it feel slightly cooler than the low 50s in Louisville. 51 in Lexington, 39 switching all the way to 43 in Madison, Indiana, and some spots down to the south already nearing 60. Hopkinsville, Kentucky, sitting at 55 at the lunch hour. Speaking of 55, we're going to be hitting that today in Louisville around 4 p.m. Some of our cooler temperatures again to the north. That's where there's a little more snow cover on the ground. But again, we'll be noticing some readings nearing the upper 50s as far south as Columbia and towards Washington and Marion counties as well. So the next storm system that we're tracking, our pattern is going to be coming to a halt beginning tomorrow. See all these clouds and the chances for rain to the south and west of us? That's the next storm system that will be impacting us as we get into the end of this week. So tonight, looking clear. We're going to be watching clouds sharply increase during much of midday tomorrow, and as soon as about 3 or 4 p.m., just in time for the afternoon commute, steady rain moving through. Don't go anywhere. I'm talking about the exact timing of this low pressure center in a few minutes.
A new report shows nearly 50 Kentucky foster kids spent time sleeping at state offices turned into dorms last year. That report is from the Kentucky State Auditor Allison Ball. She said last year, from June to October, 49 foster kids had to sleep inside state buildings like L&N's building on Broadway in Louisville. The number does not include children staying at state parks or hotels. Ball said the average age of the kids was 14, but some as young as 1. Back in December, Governor Beshear told us the kids who stayed in the L&N building were kids who'd suffered severe traumas, had become aggressive, or had no other options available with treatment facilities. But Auditor Ball said that doesn't appear to have been the case.
The impression that I was given is that, it's teenage kids, boys who have a history of perhaps being violent or difficult to control. And that's not the picture that's presented with this information. 1, 2, 3-year-olds, a 1-year-old infant is not going to be beyond control.
The Cabinet for Health and Family Services sent us a response to the report saying it has filed an emergency regulation to increase funding that will support many of these children. Right now, it's not clear how many kids are still staying in state buildings, but we were told none were staying at the L&N building at the beginning of this year. We now have a better look at the revitalization of the Belvedere downtown. Tuesday was the final of 3 community sessions.
We are building this for the people of Louisville who live here. We also happen to think it has the opportunity to be a great project for people who want to visit Louisville and see something world-class unlike anything they've ever seen and experienced before. But we first and foremost have the people of Louisville in mind and want more people to continue to help revitalize downtown. We want this to be a place that is connecting east and west.
Mayor Craig Greenberg saying he wants to bring the Belvedere back to its former glory, and you can still give your input on its revitalization. There's an online survey which we have posted right now in the links section of WHAS11.com. Mayor Greenberg also spoke on a new multi-year partnership between Metro Government and Danny Wimmer Presents. The company will be bringing events to the Iroquois Amphitheater for its 87th season. Those with the production company say they're excited to join Metro Government and increase visibility to the official amphitheater of the Commonwealth.
We grew from one 2-day festival with 36,000 attendees to 2 festivals over 8 days and over 400,000 attendees this year. Our goal is to make Louisville an even better place to go.
31 music shows have already been booked for the upcoming season. You can start buying tickets for some artists starting this Friday at 10 a.m. Just head to iroquoisamphitheater.com.